Welcome back to PNC's Year in Review. We now move on to our third top story of the year, the rise in crime around Island. In October, the message from the Guam Police Department was loud and clear. To stem the recent rise in serious crime, senior GPD officers emphasized their need for help. More police cars, more officers, and the public's help and cooperation too. It was unusual to see this much police brass in one place for a news conference yesterday. Acting Chief Colonel Maurice Sayama, Acting CID Division Chief Lieutenant Ron Teichno, and Bureau Chief Major Fred Chargaloff. The occasion, ostensibly, was a happy one, the announcement of the arrests of 2 suspected felons accused in recent serious crimes. But the conversation quickly turned to the seriousness of the recent rash of serious crimes on Island and the need that the Guam Police Department has for help to fight it.
This is one of those times when we find the person based on good police work, but there are times that we hit dead ends, and unless the community comes out and says, hey, this is what I got, this is the guy or girl or whatever, we need that community to continue to give us information.
You need more support.
Yes.
While we're making strides in closing out and making apprehensions, it seems new players come into the picture and start escalating their level of violence.
Lieutenant Teichno pointed out that criminals are not all stupid. They know GPD is short on patrol cars, short on officers. They see the weaknesses.
Unfortunately, it's a true fact at this point with the questions regarding our patrol cars, the questions concerning our manpower strength, is that they study us. They conduct counterintelligence against us and identify our weaknesses and the vulnerabilities on society and go out and do what they do.
So you need more men on the street, you need more patrol cars.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And support from the public.
Definitely.
Yes.
The senior brass all agreed that drug abuse lies at the root of many of these recent crimes, but Acting Chief Colonel Sayama also spoke about the complexity of the causes of crime.
Drugs is usually the root of all evil, as I like to call it, but it's really a more complex issue other than just saying it's drugs. It's not that. It's a makeup of the whole totality of the situation.
The crimes of late have not been committed by gangs, but by smaller groups of 1, 2, or 3 men, said Bureau Chief Major Fred Chargaloff.
With these particular rashes that have come up, these are not like, gangs or specific groups. These are all random acts. At least that's what we've been seeing, is that it's not like there's a whole group of guys.
Advice to avoid becoming a victim: better cash handling practices at the small mom and pop shops and game rooms that get robbed so often. And the public at large should always remain alert and on guard.
One of the things that we like to advocate for is good cash handling practices when it comes to businesses. And again, even those mom and pop stores, and unfortunately they just continue to have bad cash handling practices. So one of the things we'd like to put out to them as far as crime prevention is create better cash handling practices.
Don't set patterns. Don't take the same route. Maybe come out a little bit earlier or get out a little bit later so that it throws the perpetrators out there, because that's what they're looking for. Like Lieutenant Ron was mentioning, is they're looking for patterns. They want to see that we're creatures of habit, but we want to try and do this. So key thing is change your habits.
If victims or the citizens do not take those precautions seriously, they're just going to continue to be victims.
Well, we've made it to the second top story of 2013, and PNC's Janella Carrera joins us now in studio to tell us more about it. Janella?
Thanks, Kevin. Our number 2 story is the devastation of Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. PNC went to the Philippines to see the devastation firsthand, and we had a 5-part series on the Guam medical mission to the Philippines. One of those stories involved the Martinez family from Daan Bantayan, Cebu. While they struggled to rebuild their lives after the worst typhoon they've ever experienced, their struggles are only compounded by the uncertainty over the fate of their son in Tacloban, the town that was worst hit by Super Typhoon Yolanda. Eufrosina and Plutarco Martinez have 8 children. 7 of them are in Daan Bantayan, Cebu, the first mission site of the Guam Medical Association team about 2 weeks ago. During the recent Super Typhoon Yolanda, the Martinez couple and their children could not depend on their scanty bamboo and tin home to keep them safe. This is one of the few concrete homes in this neighborhood. Residents of this home welcomed their neighbors whose homes were too fragile to bear the weight of Typhoon Yolanda. As you walk up and down this street, street, stories like this are echoed. Euphrosyna tells me that after Yolanda passed, there was nothing left of her home. But even then, she and her family worked tirelessly to put the pieces of their house back together.
Mahiya naman kami mag-ano sa kapitbahay namin.
Ilang araw po kayo doon sa kapitbahay niyo?
Yun, bagyo.
Pag bagyo, pagkatapos, nag-ano na kami. Nalipad yung mga sin. Hindi naman nun, sige lang, basta mayroon kami higaan, di ba?
Dito na po kayo natutulog?
Dito na po.
So, ilang araw po, nung lumampas po yung bagyo, paano nyo gawa uli po yung bahay nyo?
Yung anak namin,
Tinulungan lang kami.
tulong-tulong lang kami po. Maginaw kasi.
It's a battle that many Daan Bantayan residents had to face. While they were blessed with hospitable neighbors, many villagers were seen reconstructing their homes with what little resources they had. It was a community effort, the couple told me. They couldn't wait for the government to step in with hardware materials. And while that in and of itself is a painful reality, waking up to no home, even more agonizing is not hearing from your son and 2-year-old granddaughter in Tacloban. Tacloban was among the worst hit towns that met the eye of Super Typhoon Yolanda. There was also a powerful storm surge with tsunami-strength force that wiped out entire towns in Tacloban. Euphrosyna says she has not been able to reach her son there, and she doesn't have any money to be able to travel there either. Ilan taon po yung anak niyo sa Tacloban?
27 po.
Hindi niyo po alam kung...
Hindi na namin nag-contact, mami.
Hindi niyo po alam kung buhay o namatay? Magkano ba ang pamasahe papuntang Tacloban galing dito?
Kailangan daw sa amin, tag 1,000 kada isa.
1,000 isang tao?
Sabi ng kapitbahay. Sabi ng hindi ba kami na saktan? So, wala naman kami pera maghanap kami, wala. Mahal naman namin yung anak ko.
Kailan niyo siya huling nakausap?
Yung binigyan kami ng pamasahe niya, hindi naman kami nakapunta kasi walang kuwan sa dyan sa Bogo, walang sasakyan, nasira yung bus, sa Perpere. Yung karawan ng apo namin. Naghintay sa noon, wala naman kami dumating. Awan ko kung magkita pa kami. Ano ba? Kasi masakit naman yung anak ko kamanggalangan. Anak. Sakit yung anak ko. Hindi na kami nagkita doon.
Ano po kung mapapanood po ng anak niyo ito? Ano po sasabihin niyo sa kanya at sa apo niyo?
Masaya ako. Wala akong mahilag na. Umiyak na lang ako. Kasi wala akong pera. Puntaan ko hindi ko naman alam kung saan siya nakatira. Hindi pa man ako nakapunta doon.
Her husband Plutarco is a fisherman, like many of the villagers in this fishing town. He still doesn't know what the future holds for them or how much longer they'll need to depend on relief goods to survive. Ano po ginagawa niyo ngayon? Paano kayo nakakakain?
Yung bigas binibigay.
Binigay ng relief good.
Yung binibigay po nila?
Kasi wala naman kaming
Nakbuhay.
ng isda magkuha.
Pagkatapos dumating yung mga relief, paano po kayo makakatuloy, makakabuhay?
Hindi, wala pa kami ng hanap buhay kasi wala namang mangingisda.
At the time that we visited Daan Bantayan 2 weeks after the typhoon had passed, the town was still without electricity. Food and medical supplies were scarce, but aid was clearly on its way. And again, we'd like to thank Docomo Pacific for their generous support. Stay tuned for more of your Year in Review. We'll announce a top story of 2013 after this break.